Anybody that knows me knows that my biggest influence as a guitarist, my favourite guitarist above all else, is John Petrucci. And one thing that used to baffle me about John Petrucci is how he could really elaborate on what I would have classed as chromatic notes within his soloing. I used to intensely study his soloing and think, how is he able to utilise that note so well when it doesn't belong within the key of the song that he's playing? I was a part of the John Petrucci forums, and I actually emailed John Petrucci, and I got not just the best guitar advice from John Petrucci, but the best guitar advice that I've ever had, and it worked wonders for me, and it made everything make sense. Now, I'm going to tell you what that is. It is quite theoretical though, so if you don't know your theory, you don't know your note names, it may not make sense, but it also may make sense. I'll try and explain it in a way where it can make sense to you if you're not fully trained within chord theory. So basically, myself thinking more of a lead player, especially in my earlier years, I spent more time trying to be a good lead player, a fast guitar player basically, that I didn't actually realise how important rhythm was within lead at the time. So I understood the concept of playing in key, and I'd play to songs like Iron Maiden, Metallica, and I'd understand how their solos were wrote and how they made sense. But then I'd get onto bands such as Dream Theater and Rush and Extreme, and I'd be like, how are these players playing notes that are not in the key of what the song is in? And this advice is what was emailed to me from John Petrucci. I asked him a question saying, how do you play all of the chromatic notes within your solos and make them sound so interesting and right? And basically his response was, think chordally. So think more in terms of chords. At first I didn't really get it, and I'll explain what I thought he meant, and then I'll explain what I think he actually meant, because it makes sense to me now, and this is how I play now and how I've been playing for years. So basically, I used to think if a song was in a certain key, let's say for instance, I'm going to demonstrate in this lesson in the key of A major. If a song was in a certain key, you had chords within that key. So let's pick an A major chord, let's pick a D major chord, let's pick a B minor chord, and then back to the D major. So what I used to think was, and what I find a lot of guitar players think, especially a lot of students that start learning with me that have previously had lessons before they come in the lessons, and they might have experienced playing some guitar solos and whatnot, and they'll sound great, and there's absolutely no problem with thinking it like this, and it's a great way of thinking. What I found was I was playing purely within the key of A major, thinking I can't go out of it, and all these chords belong to the key of A major as well. So I'd play this chord and I could do like a solo in A major over it, and it sounds great. D major, and I'd still be utilising the notes of the A major scale. They fit over it perfectly. B minor, again, still the same notes. Back to the D major. Back to the A major. And it sounds great, but what I find is after a while, it starts to sound very samey because you're literally playing just the same 7 notes all the time, because there's only 7 notes that belong to that A major key. And when I was learning like John Petrucci solos, I could learn them fine, but I was struggling to understand how he was having certain spots where he'd have 3 notes next to each other, but 3 held notes. And normally it's like you can play through scales and put chromatic notes in and pass through them, and they can sound fine. But when you actually hold a note that is not within a certain key, that's when it can start sounding very eerie and wrong, basically. So a great example of this, if I play an A major chord and I'll play the A major scale, but I'll put a couple of chromatic notes in there passing, it should sound fine. That sounds fine. However, if I hold on any of those chromatic notes, it sounds really wrong. It just doesn't sound right. Where if I hold one that's right, it fits perfectly. John Petrucci has a way of doing this and being able to hold notes that are not within the original key that you're supposed to be in theory. And what I found was, it's when I was looking at the rhythm after he gave me this advice, he was using what are called borrowed chords. Basically, he was using the chords to allow him to be able to play that note that technically isn't in key, and in theory it actually makes it in the right key because he's borrowing a chord from a different key instead. So a good example of this is if I for instance play what I was just playing a moment ago, so the A major, the D major, the B minor, and then I'm going to play what will generally sound awful with those chords, which will be an E flat minor. And if you listen, that chord will just sound wrong. It will not sound like it's supposed to be there. It sounds like it doesn't belong there, but that does not mean that you cannot use it. You can borrow it, and when you use those borrowed chords in tandem with the lead, you can make the chord sound right and the lead sound right. So the lead could make the chord sound right, that's going over the top of it, and the chord can make the lead note sound right that has now gone out of the key of A major. So if I play this A major chord, and then this borrowed E flat minor, but what that then does is it starts making it sound interesting, and it allowed me to use some notes that were not in the A major scale, being this note and this note here. Those 2 notes don't belong in it, however this one does. So what I've done is I've prepared I'm going to show you basically a progression now to demonstrate this, and this is thinking chordally. Basically, if you have a chord that you purposely put out of key, and I'm going to put one in this progression that I show you now. If you have a chord that you purposely put out of key, but you think chordally with your lead playing. So the best way I can explain this is think of the notes that are involved within the chords. So if you have like this A major chord, the notes that are in an A major chord are an A, a C sharp, and an E. Now, if someone's playing that chord, an A major, and you hold or play between the A, C sharp, and E notes anywhere on the neck, it's going to sound right, because you're only playing notes that are within the chord that's underneath it anyway. So there is no way that it can physically sound wrong. And you've got options then, because you can be improvising in A major or using the notes within the chord, which is still the same thing technically, because all of those notes are in A major. Then I go to another chord that's in A major. I'm going to go to this C minor 7. And then I've got options there. I could keep improvising in A major still, or I could utilize the notes of the C minor 7, which would be, it's got a missing fifth, this chord. C sharp minor 7, sorry, excuse me. Which the notes of that chord would be a C sharp, an E, and a G sharp. So I could utilize those notes. C sharp, E, and G sharp. Now that chord belongs to the A major key, so all those notes are in the A major anyway, so I could keep improvising in A major. Then I'm going to put a third chord in. I'm going to put this form of an F minor in there. Now again, that chord belongs to the key of A major, so I can just keep on improvising in A major. Or and I could use the triad notes basically of that F minor chord, which would be F sharp, A, and C sharp. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a chord that is not in the key of A major. In fact, I'm going to throw a chord in that contains absolutely no notes from the A major scale. So I'm going to throw in a C minor 7 chord. Not a single one of the notes within that chord is in the key of A major. Now what I can do on that chord, what that chord will do is if I carry on improvising in the key of A major with that chord, the lead guitar playing is going to sound wrong. And that makes you go, but it's in the key of A major, why is it sounding wrong? And it's because the chord is borrowed. So a lot of lead guitar players, if there was a rhythm guitar player and they played that, a lot of lead guitar players would go, that chord's wrong, like that doesn't fit, like you can't play that. But then a lot of rhythm guitar players could easily turn around to the lead guitar player and say, well, your lead playing's wrong. And the lead guitar player could go, no, well, I'm playing in the right key still, I'm playing in A major. The notes should work, so you're playing something wrong. Well, no one's wrong. If I go to that C minor there, and whilst that chord's being used, I stretch out of the A major scale and use notes that are within, for my soloing, my improvising, whatever, I use notes that are within that chord, it's guaranteed to sound right because the notes that you are playing are in that chord, but you only use them whilst the chord is being played. Especially if you was going back to the original chord after it of the A major, which puts you back in the key of A major. You can also use it for key changing, but that's a different thing. So the notes within a C minor are C, E, G, and then I've also got this extra 7th note in there as well, which would be an F. So C, E, G, and an F as well, which means I can utilize those 4 notes whilst that chord is being played. And I can actually utilize more as well because I can pull in different scales within it as well, but I don't want to. I want to really embellish that chord. Now finally, because that chord is out of the original key, and the improvising that you are using with it is out of the original key but fits with the chord, it will no longer sound wrong. What it will do is it will sound interesting. So it'll make it catch people's ear and go, oh, I didn't expect that. So the chords that I'm going to play are going to be an A major add 9 I'm going to play. Then I'm going to play a C sharp minor 7 with a missing 5th. Then I'm going to play an F sharp minor. And then finally I'm going to play a C minor 7. So if I quickly demonstrate now, and then I'm going to roll you over and let you have a quick listen to it kind of properly recorded, so you can actually hear how, oh, I see what it means now, it does actually sound right. But when I switch that C minor, I'm only going to use notes for the lead playing that are in the C minor. So just a quick demonstration now. Jamming in A major, sorry, to the C sharp minor 7. So I'm still in the key of A major, to the F sharp minor, still in the key of A major, so I can just keep using the A major scale, to the C minor 7. This is where I can embellish those notes. Back to the A major. And there you should have actually heard how, because I was utilising the chords to create my melody, the chord notes for the melody, you should have heard how it actually didn't quite sound as wrong then. So let me roll you over to this video of me playing that properly now and just improvising over the top of it so that you can hear it properly in context. Hope that it's helped you as much as it helped me. If you've got any more questions about this, or you want me to explain a certain thing, then let me know in the comments below. If you want any help with your soloing, with certain guitar lessons, let me know in the comments below. And finally, if you're interested in learning the guitar with me, check out harmonyentmusicacademy.com. The link is in the description below. I've got a load of online courses that will help you, a load of theory courses, a load of guitar playing courses. You can also book in some Skype lessons with me, in which I'll give you a direct one-to-one online lesson, or I can give you weekly lessons as well. So feel free to get in touch, check the link in the description below, and I hope that I can help you with your guitar progress.